Hello and welcome back to the Schooner Pod. I'm your host, Bobby Howard. With me today, as always, we got Jameson, we got Ty, and we're broadcasting live. So we're here to break down Oklahoma's 27-14 win over Baylor. I think it's a little bit more low scoring than we thought. A little bit of some surprises here and there. Definitely not as close as the score indicated. Baylor scored a garbage time touchdown with a minute left, but definitely a lot to dive in here. We're also going to break down the West Virginia game coming up on Saturday, as well as some other Army-Navy stuff because it's Army-Navy week. It's their week. We're just playing in it. Anyways, let's just get down to it. Kind of the big question of this week is, are we really worried about this offense? What happened to it? And, what are the reasons why this offense, which has absolutely been clicking since Texas, really stalled? Jameson, when you really look at this game, what do you really kind of point to as why this offense kind of sputtered? We didn't really expect this because we weren't missing a ton of guys on the offensive end. But, what's your diagnosis on this?
Yeah, I'll say the nice answer first. I think the nice answer is we shut down our team for a little while, and Lincoln was a lot more stressed when it came down to figuring out what's going to happen on the defensive side of the ball. Like, we had Robert Barnes at the safety. I'm sure put a lot of his emphasis and time looking at how he was going to make that work. And didn't put as much strategizing into the offense because the majority of them were healthy. So he kind of just said, the offense will be fine. Let's worry about the defense. The mean answer is that O-line just looked horrible. Like, it made Ramondre Stevenson look like he was doing nothing, and that's just not right. It's hard for me to put it on Ramondre when I feel like he had no holes to run up, and I feel like he was always getting hit, either behind the line of scrimmage or at the line of scrimmage. It was honestly just embarrassing, another embarrassing game for them, and I don't understand why. They were all healthy.
It really is kind of inexcusable and out of nowhere. We've had some solid performances. I don't think they've been immaculate by any means, but nothing quite like that. The running game almost impossible to get going, which is at this point, I think, the lifeblood of this OU offense. Ty, looking at that game, what did you see that really hindered that OU offense?
Yeah, I think maybe to touch on some of the stuff that Jameson said, it was not what we were expecting. I think maybe, and probably, I don't know if any Baylor fans, well, I guess Bowden Blake, Baylor student, will listen to this, but it's like I guess you got to give Baylor some credit, but it's really, I think the only really thing I have to add is just touching on what Jameson said about Stevenson. We kind of use him not fully to his strengths. We kind of use him as a, just main dude all the time, every situation. And he definitely has certain strengths, and that's that real short yardage and power running and stuff. And he's really improved, but we are having to use some weapons maybe in areas where they're not supposed to be used. And there was just a lot of drops as well on both sides, including guys that don't normally drop the ball. They were just watching on TV. It seemed like there was a ton of receivers just dropping stuff that they should have caught. So I don't know what was going on there, but that's definitely a factor as well.
Absolutely. And Lincoln definitely harped on Oklahoma's failure to prepare for Baylor's defense and prepare for Baylor in general. And I think when you really look at it, something I forgot about completely, Dave Aranda, obviously was LSU's defensive coordinator, a team that had great success against us last year on the defensive side of the ball. And, look, the personnel he has at Baylor, definitely not the same as LSU by a long shot. However, the schemes, the way they work, that all can be implemented and used against Oklahoma. And you see a lot of those things that, really worked for LSU also worked well for Baylor here. So I think you got to give the head coach credit. I've been on Aranda all season long saying he's a bad head coach, and maybe he might be a bad overall head coach, but this game, he was a hell of a defensive coordinator, I think.
Yeah, you got to give them credit. I mean, it's they're obviously not, their win-loss is not great this year. They haven't been a great team this year, which, no discredit or disrespect to them. They just lost great coach to the NFL. So they're gonna have a drop off, but I think we do have to some. They wasn't completely just us messing up. They did, at least defensively, really, really prepare well. Offensively, maybe not so much because they were facing a lot of third string guys and doing nothing. So we can talk about that.
Good God. Offensively, Baylor was just a mess. I don't know if the defense has been great all year long for Oklahoma, but offensively, Baylor was just flat. So Jameson, how much does that really boil down to the defense having a great night versus Baylor being garbage on offense?
I feel like a little both for the cop-out answer. I really like what I saw out of Asamoah. He's been kind of having a bad couple of stretch with his COVID protocols, and the games he played were a little bad. Ugwebu had another solid night at the linebacker position. The DL, we don't even have to talk about it. It's just good every single week. There's really nothing much to it. It's that consistent. And the D-backs, we saw some good play from DJ Graham, who came in, the true freshman, had that interception. That was a really cool moment. Then our cornerbacks played decent. For all in all, there really wasn't much that stood out on the defensive end. I will say this. We really go big on Buki and Jeremiah Cradell. We kind of harp for, but Jeremiah Cradell just doesn't show the flash that Buki does. And I would rather have Buki out there 100%.
I don't know. This is our best defensive performance of the year, and he wasn't there.
It was also against Baylor, though. That was a pretty tough Baylor team.
What about
Kansas?
Kansas, we gave up what was it, 3 points until the last play of the game?
True. It was also one of the funniest Buki games.
Yes. All I'm saying is, we harp on Buki for the big moments, and I'm not excusing that. But Jeremiah Cradell just does not have the flash that I feel like you need at that nickel position, and it's not really, it's not popping off the page for me. I really wish that we could have saw a guy like Justin Harrington, if y'all remember him, the JUCO transfer, the 6'4"-ish, speedy guy that would be perfect for that position. He would be inserted in that slot, and he probably would have taken the job from Buki by now. But he had the ACL tear. There's just not a lot of other options at that nickel position. And Jeremiah Cradell, I feel like you just need to be a little bit either smarter on top of things or a bigger athlete. And Cradell he's kind of middle ground.
Yeah, he just doesn't, like you said, just doesn't really pop. Buki, for all of his faults, comes out there, works his ass off, has a good game. Most times when he's not making mistakes. Everything you can say bad about Buki is all extracurricular. If you actually look at his play, look at his toughness. I mean,
he straight up gets burned a lot.
Not as often as he used to. He's gotten better about that. I feel like we've seen him get burnt a lot less.
I think just a lot of the taller receivers have left.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's just he'll get mossed a lot, but in terms of effort, in terms of staying with a guy, he's been better about that this year, I think. So there's that for him. Let's go on to game balls, offense, defense. Let's start with offense. So not a spectacular week here, but there were some solid performers. Ty, I'll let you start on this one. Who are you giving the game ball to this week?
Well, sorry, I picked it out and then I forgot real quick. Okay. So mine, I was bouncing between two receiver options. One seemed to sort of like I was trying to be edgy and obvious, and that would be Drake Stoops because he had some mistakes, but there was a lot of plays where he was clearly either the one that it was designed for him to pass to off of various plays, and he only had, I think, one completed reception, but was out there just grinding from the start. That dude's 5 minutes into the game, his jersey was ripped and just torn up. But I don't want to give it to Drake. What I think I want to give it to is Braden Willis for going out there, stepping up, getting some receptions. I think this was his season high on receptions. And I just like to give it to guys, that maybe don't have super high expectations and step up. So try to be a little different with mine, but that's mine for offensively this week.
Yeah, particularly with his, issues with COVID, his injury, him getting out there and really getting a very, a pretty solid game there. Yeah, give it up to Willis. I'm going to go with the guy that we kind of have called on to really show up, and I think he did kind of show up this game. Theo Weiss tied for the lead in receptions, most among wide receivers, 66 yards, 1 touchdown, long of 25. I thought he was a very solid, reliable, option at wide receiver there. And again, there's not a lot to pick from. We're kind of picking from scraps here. So I'm going to go with Theo. Jameson?
I have zero idea. Theo, my problem with him is his biggest problem with us this year is he drops big plays, drops touchdowns. He had another drop even though he had a touchdown. It's hard for me to give a guy who dropped a touchdown. Braden Willis, the thing is without Stogner out there, I feel like the offensive line is hurting even more because Stogner is such a valuable blocker. And then when Braden Willis on the line, you can tell that he was recruited as a wide receiver. He was not recruited as a true tight end. His blocking is definitely a couple steps down. I feel like he didn't help out our offensive line. Even though he got the touchdown, I want to give it to him. I'll just give it to Spencer Rattler. I know he threw an interception, but, he looked like the most regular person out there.
Fair enough. Hey, fair enough. I wanted to give it to Rattler a little bit. That pick, just not a great one. Really stuck in my.
You have a high expectation from Sooners quarterbacks, and that was not a game where he deserved any of it. The problem is, I think of just someone obscure, like you did really well this game on the offensive line, or like a good blocking wide receiver. Drake Stoops only caught 1 catch. It's hard for me to do that, even though he gives his effort. But it's hard. Just in general, we just got to take away our biases of past OU quarterbacks and past OU performances at the quarterback position if we're going to give the game ball to somebody on offense.
Yeah. Hey, fair enough. Moving on to the defensive side of the ball, game balls. I don't know. This one I think should be a sweep, but I've every time I think it's a sweep, I'm usually wrong. Ty, who do you got for your defensive game ball?
Yeah. So I think I tried to be really different on the offense, but I got to go kind of the obvious one here. Defensively, and that's DTY. He was, he really stepped up with a very, very decimated defense. I'm sure if I really rewatch the game tape, maybe we could pick out some guys that stepped into roles that you would assume they're not prepared for. I don't know how much of that was also Baylor just being abysmal, but DTY, I think we would expect him to really step up as sort of a more recognizable name with a very decimated defense. Because of COVID, and he really did. It wasn't a perfect game. I don't think it was a perfect game for anyone, but he did what he needed to do and stepped up, and that's important. So he's going to be mine, kind of obvious, but yeah.
Hey, fair enough. I was actually thinking of a different guy who had a little bit more flash off the stat sheet, but Turner Yell really did tie together that secondary really well, and I think that's a really good pick. I'm going to go with Isaiah Thomas, IT, 2.5 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 4 solos. We've praised Ronnie Perkins a ton, as well as Perrion Winfrey, but we forget about the third member of that defensive line, and that's Isaiah Thomas, absolute beast. The guy tore it up again. He's been a bit of an unsung hero from what I've seen, from what we talk about on our stuff. But Alex Grinch said he's his defensive player of the year. So for the Big 12, which is, very high praise. But he brought his hard hat, had a very excellent game on defense.
Yeah, and I would agree. Isaiah Thomas has been the most consistent guy this whole year. He's had a good game almost every single time he stepped on the field, and we've seen that. We said in the preseason that we needed him to step up with Ronnie Perkins out, and it was honestly just crazy to think that a guy who barely played in these games, any snaps before this came in, and he's playing like the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. So yeah, he deserves the game ball, but let's give a theoretical game ball as well to the guy who actually got the defensive game ball in the game, in Robert Barnes, shifting from linebacker to safety, didn't have too many hiccups, looked like it was fine on all ends for him. And I understand that Charlie Brewer and Baylor did not challenge the safeties too much in this game, but whenever you didn't give anything up bad and you're a linebacker playing safety, you got to give him praise there.
Absolutely. Having to play out of position that far, That's wild. That's wild. So really great work from Barnes there. Overall, really well fleshed out defensive performance. I'm very happy with it. If you look at the stats, this is the first time in God knows how long that OU is top 20 in both offense and defense in terms of total offense, total defense. So remarkable performance from Grinch and the crew. But Baylor, it's done. It's over with. I think for all of us, I can say, thank goodness that game was garbage. Throw it in the trash. Let's move on to West Virginia, a game we've already previewed.
Just pull it over. We're not going to change anything. We go, let's go after West Virginia. Yeah, that Daggy guy's pretty good. Oh, we're going to West Virginia, so that might impact the travel. Maybe the weather has changed since then. Bobby, you got an idea?
It's going to be colder.
It will be colder.
As we can see, it's going to be an 11 a.m. game. So, maybe.
Oh, so no snow game.
So maybe no snow game. I don't know. A lot of it, clearly a lot's changed with West Virginia. They got whopped by Iowa State since then. So, nothing's really changed.
Also, it doesn't matter. So, in theory, I'm not saying I would do this because I care about the West Virginia game, but we could just claim that we have COVID and not go.
Hey, fair enough. Ohio State's doing fine enough doing that.
Yeah, we could have played 0 games. We could have blown out whoever it was, like Montana State or whoever it was that we played, and then just coasted the rest of the season to the playoffs. That's what we should have done.
If this game doesn't matter, why not play it? Because we're not trying to save our record is the thing. We already have 2 losses.
Yeah, but if we get 3,
I just won't throw them out there. Who cares if we get 3? We're not. Bobby, I want to hear you. Come on, let you go. I'll let you go.
I'm just saying Iowa State jumped up to 7. Tennessee beats Texas A&M
because they have 1 loss or 2 losses. Oh crap!
2 losses.
Yeah, I'm saying it's possible.
Okay, if Iowa State beats us again, do they have a playoff pass?
They do. I think Iowa State. Well, yeah, I think. Well, it would. Any playoff path would require Texas A&M losing to Tennessee, which probably won't happen.
Can we take a quick sort of diversion here?
What's up?
For a very plausible conspiracy theory of mine.
Fair enough.
Is it possible?
Last week.
Is it possible? I'm not saying we deliberately infected people, but is it possible that OU just somehow, because we have been almost completely unaffected by COVID all season. We've had 1 or 2 cases here and there, never any super key people. And then all the people that have had it, like Spencer, that are key, had it before the season. So we have a lot of dudes, or prior to this week, we had a lot of guys that were still susceptible to COVID that were pretty key in a bigger game. Like this defense that we played with, outstanding job, probably not going to cut it against Iowa State or in the bowl game. Is it possible maybe that somehow people just happen to get COVID right now? Because this was our last chance. Jameson just muted his mic. I'm not sure if you guys can see this because he's laughing. I don't want any commentary on this. I'm just saying you guys got to pay attention. The globalists are in charge of college football. Okay. They're putting COVID in the water.
Oh my gosh. Anyway,
these West Virginia fans listening to us right now are like, get the West Virginia analysis on. We need to hear it right now. I don't want to hear about these global conspiracy theories anymore. I hear enough.
I've been listening to Alex Jones all day long. I've heard enough of that.
Oh my goodness.
Anyways,
that's my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal, my end game is for the Schooner Pod to be the InfoWars of college football.
We're already on the right path. I've been the biggest 2-loss OU advocate out here. We're already basically there. Speaking of COVID, though, remember the very start of the season, game number 2, when we were all worried about Kansas State not having enough people? If that game gets shifted, this is a 1-loss OU team. Okay. Is this a 1-loss OU team? I just feel like this is a 1-loss OU team. Like we
would have shifted that game to the end of the season, therefore we didn't play.
But if we beat Iowa State in the championship, we are essentially in everyone's eyes a 1-loss team again. I'm not saying we're going to go to the playoffs because of it, but no, Jameson, I'm not saying that it's going to change our sort of trajectory whatsoever. What I'm saying is we have a lot of players that are very significant that weren't there, like Perkins and Stevenson. And then we go back and beat that team. I think you show clear improvement. It's not going to matter because we're not, in the discussion for the playoffs. But I would see this team as essentially a one-loss team.
Yes, Ty.
No.
Good.
You just
your goonerness.
I'm not trying to give Bobby sort of ammo here.
You legitimately took exactly what direction I was going to go do, Bobby. I was about to say, Bobby's like, good, I see the fear in you. Come over to the dark side. Come to
the Homer side.
No, I mean, I'm not saying that whatsoever. I think we do have the best chance in the Big 12, but it's not with Notre Dame in the ACC this year. I think it's just not going to happen.
Hey,
I think even if Clemson loses again, they're still in.
We should, before we move on to Cruton Corner and other stuff, I'd actually like to address some podcast business live on the air with everyone. So it's come to my attention that someone on Cameo is available for $40, $40 to $50. We have around 40 to 50 in our Anchor account. Houston Nutt on Cameo is going for $50. Should we use that money to get Houston Nutt to record an intro?
No, because
I'm Houston Nutt, and you're listening to the Schooner Pod.
I don't think they do promotional stuff because I looked into this. I think there is they'll do birthday messages and stuff, but they won't you can't get a commercial for $40. But also I think there's some better people that we could do.
Houston, who's better than Houston Nutt?
No, it doesn't even have to be related to college football. We can get something crazy.
I don't know. Houston Nutt would be pretty good.
I'm pretty sure John Cena
do an endorsement. You know how much that's going to be. If he was not going to do an endorsement, we'd just get Bobby's editing skills and just say, "Hey, I'm Houston Nutt, and you're listening to the with the little robot voice."
Can we just invite Houston Nutt on the podcast? The Nut Pod?
We can. We can, yeah.
You could say no, but anyways. I don't know.
Or he could just ghost us, which is more likely.
Probably. I don't know. I might shoot my shot, try to get our nut.
Oh my goodness!
This is
just a fun fact. We haven't spoken about West Virginia other than making fun of them the whole time.
No, we did a whole preview on them, so we have some time to sort of spare. Oh, the guys from Shark Tank are not that expensive.
Oh,
Kevin is pretty expensive. We could get Mark Cuban though.
Mark Cuban
they went for free. I saw
that. Hey, he could support the podcast.
We could get Chris Tucker.
Okay.
There's a lot of good options here.
There are options. You know who's probably furious? Iowa State for us not mentioning really that we have a rematch against them. They're probably listening and to see what we have to say.
For that.
I know. Iowa State week's going to be good. And if I don't know, I think we need to find some way to open up a Iowa State fan hotline and have them just start ripping us. I don't know.
Oh my goodness. We could get Floyd Mayweather.
For how much?
$1,000?
Yeah, no, that would take that'd take 50 years of Anchor money to get there, if that. Let's move on.
Take a small business loan.
Good God. All right. Let's move on to Cruton Corner. Now, as we mentioned last week, really, really big week for the Sooners. Kind of a bit of a Sooner Summit. I said both of those words completely wrong. Kind of a Sooner Summit Part 2. Caleb Williams having some very big names. And Jameson, I think you can run us down. But before I do that, we got to hit the dang music, don't we? There it is.
Jamison.
Yes. What is this?
Jamison.
This is a
Cruton Corner with Jamison.
everybody dancing. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it was a great weekend. We got Emeka Egbuka into town, which honestly we thought was the biggest, stretch. If you would ask me a couple weeks ago if there was any shot he was coming in town, I said no way. He's signing with Ohio State. But we got him in town, and plus we had more people come too with him. We had Tristan Lee as well, a guy that we didn't think was going to get in town. In the last second, he got a flight out here, came out. So Tristan Lee, Emeka Egbuka, Caleb Williams, Colin Montgomery, Isaiah Coe came in. So we had a good squad, and so 3 5-stars got to hang out together. And the biggest deal about Emeka Egbuka coming into town is he came in earlier than all of them. Caleb Williams, since he has an apartment there in Norman now, stayed there. They hung out and they went out for about an hour and threw on on a random field in Norman. And allegedly, they said it was just like a connection that was just natural. They were just friends, even though they had never met in person. Really easy to talk to each other. Emeka knew where he was going with throwing the ball. Everything just felt great. So stellar reviews all the way through from the Emeka Egbuka's family and him as well. He was very, very happy. And today, as in Tuesday, he said he is announcing on December 11th, which is this coming Friday, of his school of his choosing. That was coming off right after his visit with us. He has not visited Ohio State, who is the second contender in a while. So you kind of got to read the tea leaves here. And you got a couple of rivals, big-time riders, big Josh McQuiston, and then the biggest rivals, just site recruitment guy also giving crystal ball forecasts to OU for Emeka Egbuka. So this is the number 1 wide receiver in the country. If people haven't been following in the past, this guy is legitimate. And like I said on the last week's pod, could be a Jaden Hazelwood last-minute situation where he comes into the boat after thinking we had no shot with him the whole year. So moving on from that, let's just talk about what dates every one of our top targets are announcing on, just for y'all to know. And then next week, we'll have a special Cruton Corner only episode before early signing day, which is on next Wednesday. And next Wednesday would be the 16th. And we will do that, and we'll kind of throw in everything about every single recruit that we think we can get and that is already in our boat. So Emeka Egbuka, December 11th, this coming Friday, he's going to announce between us and Ohio State. We seem to be the leader after this visit. Next big-time guy up that's announcing, Savion Byrd is going to announce on early signing day of December 16th. It looks like it's going to be us versus SMU. He was supposed to come in town for the Sooner Summit Part 2 this weekend, but he did not make it in. That is concerning, but, if we don't get him, he's a very, very high-end 4-star recruit, former 5-star, but it's not the worst if we don't get him because we're getting 5 stars in the boat right now. Bryce Foster, 5-star according to Rivals account. He's committing on December 18th, 2 days after early signing day, so he'd be signing his letter early, secretly, and then announcing a couple days later on his own day. It's us versus A&M. Big-time A&M legacy. Hopefully he doesn't creep back there, but we've been the leader for him for a long time. So if everything holds up, we should be good. Kamar Wheaton on December 23rd. We seem to be the leader there. He announced his top 2 of us versus Alabama. So things are looking pretty good for us on that end. And then lastly, the last big target that's announcing is January 2nd for Tristan Lee. He'll be announcing at the All-American game, and we seem to be in the best position out of all of those recruits I just said right now with Tristan Lee, the 5-star offensive tackle from Virginia. So looking really, really good for recruiting Oklahoma-wise. And if everything falls our way, this could turn into a top 3 class.
Absolutely. Everything you mentioned, the Egbuka thing came out of nowhere. And, really a situation that kind of developed as the weekend went on. You saw some random Ohio State people be like, he looked uninterested on Instagram Live, and, whatever. But either way, if that turned out for Oklahoma, absolutely massive. It's really showing the importance and the power of Caleb Williams. And he's going to be crucial in that Tristan Lee thing as well, because they're both from the DMV area, out in DC. So would be huge.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun probably month to go until we see all of these guys commit. But this is going to be a good class no matter what happens, because the majority. If I named 5 people there, I can confidently say we're at least getting 3. And we should get 5 or 4. Yeah,
which is honestly great position to be in, especially after kind of some of our tougher, recruitment woes over the past decade. We've gotten better since then, but a top 5 class is something we have not reached in the Riley era and have not touched in probably 15 years. So it would be massive. It would certainly be massive. Moving on. Okay. So
I'm
we are
unmute.
we are an OU podcast, as you all know. But every year we take the time to look into what is truly one of the nation's greatest traditions, Army-Navy football. And even though there are other games being played this week, we really want to focus on what is truly a great game. We're going to pick it, but Ty, if there's anything you want to kind of drop about Army-Navy, take it away.
Yeah, let's do a quick, few-minute preview. I'm not going to announce my picks here, but just some, preview looking forward, like we kind of do for the OU games. So this game is significant. Obviously, we try to not focus on it too much, but COVID has really changed college football, and for this game, it's quite interesting. So Army-Navy is traditionally played much like OU Texas at a neutral site that's relatively equidistant from each campus, which is Philadelphia. Navy being in Annapolis, Maryland, on the coast of Maryland, and then Army being in West Point, New York, which is sort of an hour north of New York City. I'm not sure how New York works. But anyways, so this game got moved to Army. They have sort of the least COVID restrictions on them. So Army is going to be able to host both full student bodies, which I think sits around somewhere between the 5,000 to 8,000 student range per university or per academy. So this will be interesting because both student bodies will get to go. Navy with Maryland's COVID restrictions has not been able to really host fans for their home games. So this will be sort of, important for the midshipmen of Navy as they'll be able to see this. This is only the third. It's either the third or fourth time ever that this game is being played at West Point. It's almost always a neutral site game, so that's there's historical significance there. I believe the last time it was played at West Point was in the 1940s when both of these teams were really, really good. So we'll touch on this more in the pick'em pod that you guys should definitely listen to. But the line is 6.5, 7 points in favor of Army. This is a very, very good Army team. We got to give a lot of credit to Jeff Munkin, Army's head coach. I'm sure you guys remember Army nearly beating OU a few years ago, and they were actually on OU's schedule this year. And looking at this OU team at the start of the season, I don't know if OU would have won that game. I certainly would not have reliably bet on it. But this is a traditional service academy game, so don't expect a lot of forward passes. But there might be some big plays, and it'll definitely be exciting to watch. There's a lot of fanfare. So I definitely encourage you guys to tune into both the Pick'em Pod to hear our takes on this game, and then also the game itself. It's a really neat sort of American tradition and college football tradition as well, that with all the ceremony and the pomp and ceremony surrounding it, and then also just the play on the field. It's almost like looking through a time machine back at college football in the olden days. So definitely I encourage you guys to tune into that and into our pick'em for some more analysis game wise.
Yeah. It's
also tune into or check out the Schooner Pod on Instagram, Insta Schooner. We'll throw up some pictures of the uniforms for the teams this year. That's always a really interesting thing as well. So Insta Schooner, all lowercase, all one word. Definitely check that out as well.
Ty, before we move on, who won the uniform battle this year, you think?
I don't know. So this year, I'll throw it up there. I think it's absolutely Navy. They went with I actually toured the Naval Academy and did a summer program there as well. There's a lot of, it's very, white marble and very ornate, opulent campus that our tax dollars are paid for. But they went with a marble-inspired uniform this year that I think is really solid. Army went with like a flat green, because they always pay tribute to stuff. But it's Navy, I think, absolutely blew them out of the water. Navy's had some really weird ones in the past. What's up?
I said no pun intended.
Yeah, Navy's had some weird ones in the past. They had that one that they had like cartoon ships painted on the side of the helmets, and some other stuff that has not been up to par with Army. Army's had some awesome ones, like the all-black ones. But yeah, check out the Insta for some uniform. I'll throw up some highlights of the past ones as well, and then this year's.
Absolutely. Well, that's all we have for this week. We'll see you if you're listening on podcast. We'll see you on Friday when we drop our Pick'em pod. But if you're watching live, we're about to pick. So, guys, here's the part of the show where I feudally ask if you have anything else to say. Anyone? Nope. Okay. Well, for me, Jameson and Ty, this has been the Schooner Pod. Thank you so much for listening. We're almost through this season together. So thank you so much for listening the whole way through. And we'll see you next time when we make our picks. Until then.
Play Gary.
Until then, have a good one. Boomer Sooner.
Take a step back, take a look at your life, hug your children, kiss your wife, know your neighbor, leave the keys in your truck, do yourself a favor, try your luck. Take a step back, take a step back, take a step back, take a step back. Everybody stop where you're at, take a step back. Take a step back to the way it was when people were crazy. Love was enough. A little more old soul, a little more lay low. Give me just a little more of your heart. I said ready, set, start. Take a step back, take a step back, take a step back, take a step back. Everybody stop where you're at. Take a step back. No more tomorrows, no more today got away from it. Come on, bring it on home. 1, 2, 3, take a step back. Take a step back. Take a step back. Take a step back. Everybody stop where you're at. Take a step back. You know it. Take a step back. Take a step back. Take a step back. Take a step back. Everybody stop where you're at. Take a step back. Take a step back, take a step back, take a step back, take a step back. Everybody stop where you're at. Take a step back. Everybody stop where you're at. Take a step back. Everybody stop. Yes, sir. Take a step back.
I have no idea how that man hasn't sued us yet. Welcome to the Weekend Spread presented by the Schooner Pod. I'm your host, Bobby Howard. With me today, as always, we got Jameson. We got Ty. And Bowden Blake is picking as well. He shows up on Tuesday or Friday, whatever. But anyways, we're here to break down our games this week. Bit of a weird slate. We had some of our marquee matchups cut off, but before we get started, just a quick touch. Me and Ty continue to win, but there's been a shakeup in the standings. Jameson.
There's only one winner. There's only one winner. Everyone else is tied for last.
Well, look, when you,
my margin is diminishing now.
When the punishment is just not listening to TCU's fight song. Everyone's a winner who's above Blake, but there's one person who's not. Jameson, after crawling your way up, a brutal week. What happened?
Well, just I don't know. I don't have any words. It's just the exact same reason I went up last week. I just reversed it. I went 6-2 last week, went up, and then went 2-6 this week, and Blake went 6-2. It just sucks. It just sucks. It just be like that sometimes, But it's okay. It's a new week. It's a new week.
If it be like that, we have 2 weeks left before this thing wraps up.
Oh no.
Think about it. Yeah, next week is I guess college. Wait, it's this week and then championship week. So you kind of running out of time here, right?
Doesn't the pack keep playing? I thought we had more.
I think the pack's done.
Oh no. Well,
yeah.
I will say to Jameson's credit, I haven't really thought any of his takes are really bad. He's had some bad takes, but there's been a lot of stuff that has just gone, completely crazy. Like who would have seen? And I think I'm saying this as a fairly reasonable college football aficionado. Obviously Bobby it might have some stuff to say here, but who would have in their right mind predicted that Coastal BYU game with Coastal outright? I think Texas Tech not covering against Kansas, that was another one. Jameson and I were the same on. Oklahoma State, disappointing as always. I think we all had that one wrong. And then Jameson very foolishly picked K-State over Texas. Hook 'em. Best team in the Big 12. But yeah.
I will say this. The one that hurt the most was the Auburn-Texas A&M game because Auburn had them in their lap pretty much the whole time. And then
that was
at the
obvious.
very end,
it was obvious from the start.
Did you watch the full game? You did. It seems you hadn't watched the whole game because it looked like
and
that.
I predicted it beforehand.
I don't know. What I'm trying to say is Texas A&M hadn't played a game like that the whole year. Auburn came out and controlled the game and then blew it in the fourth. It just sucked. I'm just saying it's painful. I understand that the majority of people picking that game picked Texas A&M. I completely understand that. I'm just saying the way it ended hurt. And who would have thought that K-State would have put up all those points and not covered? That hurts as well. But
Fair
no
enough.
excuses, just moving forward with that. It was just a bad week, and I'll recover in the next 2 weeks. Thank you, Blake, for your comments.
Absolutely. He's here for the tears.
For the listeners, Blake has commented live on the video, which you guys should definitely try to tune into if you can. He's saying he's come for the tears, like he is not 50-52 and just barely beating Jameson.
I will not fall for your tricks. You will not take my tears.
Blake is here to watch. Blake is here to watch me slowly melt down as I watch Justin Tucker fail to score enough points to keep me out of the punishment of fantasy football. But anyways, let's move on to our actual picks. I guess we'll start with Washington at Oregon. I meant to start with something else, but anyways.
Really just going to get the one good game out of the way.
Wait, no, this is not even the best game of the week. So, look, both of these teams have been a bit of a disappointment, but none more so than the Oregon Ducks. That team stinks on ice. This matchup, Washington at Oregon, 3 p.m. on Fox. The Ducks still a 6-point favorite. Ty, I'll let you start on this one. Do you think the Ducks are going to cover this at home, or what is going on with Oregon?
I don't know anything about either of these teams. What I do know is that Oregon is where Phil Knight went, the founder of Nike, so they always wear a different uniform like every game. Doesn't help them whatsoever. Helps them for like a tiny bit for recruiting. Washington has the boat tailgate thing, which is super, super awesome. Really beautiful stadium. This is at Oregon. Weather, Bobby's going to try to tell you plays the difference. It's Washington and Oregon. Probably not that much. I've never been up there. I don't know. I know it rains a lot in both places. This is like a Mike Leach level analysis. Give me Washington +6. I think I like the purple and gold branding more than Oregon. So yeah.
Hey, fair enough. I'll give you some actual analysis on this. Oregon stinks on ice, and people haven't caught up yet. I called them to underwhelm against Oregon State. They flat out lost. Cal, another flat out loss. I believe that one was at home. This Ducks team has looked just flat bad, just not a good football team whatsoever. And once again, here we are. The Ducks are overrated. Washington hasn't been anything to be super impressed with. But at the end of the day, I'm going to pick the Huskies over the Ducks here. So give me the Huskies to cover 6 at Autzen Stadium. Jameson?
Here's the deal. I'm looking at their past games, and I saw their scores. I didn't watch any of the games, but I knew Oregon disappointed versus Cal. So I went over to Washington. They lost to Stanford. Come on, Ty, do you remember how bad Stanford used to piss you off? Like, come on. We're picking two teams that it's just a hard game. 6 points.
I literally picked on what color scheme I liked more. I thought I made that clear.
These teams are both bad.
Dude, I love Ty's analysis. First time you can see I'm just gonna say some things about some nothing to do with football. I'm gonna start thinking about in my head who should I pick, and you're 56-46 this year. It's honestly great. I wish I would have found out that. I wish I had found out that way.
Believe it or not, I actually do homework for a fair amount of these. This one I did not, but I do actually read ahead for about 20 minutes before we start recording.
But I'm gonna go Oregon with this one. I'm just gonna go with the home team, and honestly, I just don't feel good about either. And screw it, Oregon.
Fair enough. Moving on to the game that usually dominates this week, and the game I was supposed to pick first, but didn't. Navy at Army. Ty, I'll let you go last here. So Jameson, kick us off. Navy at Army, 2 p.m. CBS. The Black Knights favored by 6.5. How are we feeling about Army Navy this year? Any way in particular?
Yeah, I feel like I would have picked Army really easily just going into the season, what I know about the two teams. And even at the beginning of the season, Army was showing out they looked like a team, especially I feel like they played, Cincinnati close. And then recently they've kind of just fallen off. They have not really been that competitive. They don't seem to have that flair. Just looking at the scores that you'd see from an Army game, their box scores look ugly. And Navy has gotten better. They started off really poor, and they've gotten better this season. I think that's a recipe for a close game. So I'm going to go Navy 6.5, but I could easily see Army just controlling this the whole time.
Hey, fair enough. Look, I'll put it this way. I have believed in Navy as recently as last week, where I thought they would cover 12 points against Tulsa. And they almost did, but guess what? They lost by 13. I believed in them at the very first game of the year we picked against BYU. They lost by 50. It's Army all the way. Give me the Black Knights to cover 6.5. They're a better squad. Ty has the beret on. He's ready to go.
Yeah, I forgot to put the lucky beret on, so my Washington pick is probably going to be incorrect.
Fair enough. Let's hear what you have to say.
So I think you guys know I do have a fair amount of bias towards Navy. So just to disclose that out of the way. So let me give some quick analysis. You guys kind of touched on it. Nothing really more than just some schedule analysis for Navy. So they played BYU, lost 55-3. I'm just going to touch on sort of the wave tops here for you guys. SMU, they lost 51-37. And then Tulsa, like Bobby said, they lost 19-6. So they have improved from getting just stomped by teams early in the season to a team that is, at least not getting stomped. Army, I think, is definitely on the decline. I think we all remember the Army teams of the past 2, 3, maybe even 4 years being really legitimate contenders. I know in the regular podcast for the week, I touched on that OU game. I think that everyone knows about. And I think they even had a year that they went 10-2 in there. That may have even been the OU year, which they very easily could have been 11-1 with a win against Oklahoma. So this Army team has been very good in the past with their head coach. Jeff Monken has really done some amazing stuff there. I think he was actually second in the running for that South Carolina job from what I was hearing. But I think they are on the decline. They've really, like Jameson said, they've been winning. They don't really have an impressive schedule, though. They beat Georgia Southern by 1 point back on November 21st, which was the last time they played. Before that, they lost to Tulane. And then they've just kind of blown out some no-name teams like Mercer and Abilene Christian. They did very respectably lose to Cincinnati by only 14 points. So I've been kind of long-winded, but I think I am sort of our maybe more knowledgeable one on these teams because I do pay more attention to them during the year. But I as a Navy fan, pains me to say this, but I got to play the game. This is if I win or if I'm 500 this week, I'm safe from Blake, period. Even if he wins out and I lose out the rest of the time, depending on what we do for the Bowls. So give me Army plus 6.5. I think they're on the decline. I think Navy has a chance next year. Go Navy, beat Army. I hope I'm wrong. But I think Army is the reasonable pick here, especially at a 6.5.
Absolutely. That was a really good analysis, and I'm sorry that.
Yeah, shout out to.
What did you pick, Ty? Sorry, I got lost.
I picked Army.
I picked Army, but shout out to Ashley and our other commenters riding with Navy. I'm going to be rooting for Navy. I'm going to be in all my Navy stuff on Saturday, watching the worst game of the year. But yeah, I got to pick. I got to put personal feelings aside and ride with West Point here for the cover.
Yeah, that's a good pick. We all agree. We don't all agree. I'm just in misery right now because Justin Tucker, who I need to perform well, just missed a point blank field goal. All-time best.
You know
kicker.
what? Speaking of kickers,
of course.
Speaking of kickers, this has nothing to do with anything. But since we're live. What are the odds? I don't know how we would ever verify or cash in on this bet. What are the odds that Dicker DM'd that girl soccer kicker for Vanderbilt the other day?
Oh dear God. Whatever alternate reality where they end up together and have.
I don't think they do. He's not tall enough. She's like 6'1" or 6'2".
I'm just saying that kid would be the best kicker of all time. If
I will say we should have covered this on the normal pod because it's sort of historically significant. Shout out to her. That is super cool. I learned her story on game day the other day. She didn't even want to play. She was just on the soccer team and they called her up. So shout out to her. It'd be better if we knew her name. But Wake Forest, Vanderbilt, Purdue, all the same university. It's a conspiracy by the globalists. But shout out to her.
Sarah Fuller, really cool story. Moving on to our next game. We have a pretty good rivalry, I guess. USC at UCLA, 6:30 on ABC. USC favored by 3 points at the Rose Bowl. So I'm not really sure how to feel about this one. USC, I feel like it's been skating by, but I don't know. Ty, I'll let you go on this one real quick. UCLA or USC?
Yeah, so I'll keep it short. I went really long there. UCLA burned me last week. I had them with my Arizona State pick. Obviously, UCLA on the come up. They have that coach, whatever his name is. USC has really been scraping by, but should be a playoff contender in my mind. USC absolutely the same as Ohio State. They played 4 less games, undefeated in a Power 5 conference, and it's the same thing. If you're only going to play half a season, you're not going to get respect from me. I do think that USC is the better team. This is like a very memeable take here, but I think that USC gets this one. But I could see it going either way. UCLA is on the come up. I think I have some recency bias from last year in the previous years of UCLA being bad. And then I think I have some name bias with USC that's being confirmed sort of by their barely being undefeated. They do have the common opponent in Arizona State. But I think USC here -3.
Yeah, look, I think USC decent team, but I feel like UCLA here, this is a perfect spot for them to sneak in here, get a win at home. We saw it last time they were at home, which again doesn't matter. Nobody's even there, and if people were there, it would be a USC home game anyways, as it always is at the Rose Bowl. But if you look at this team, not too bad. Beat Cal by 24, lost a close one to Colorado, lost a close one to Oregon, and then beat Arizona pretty good. I think this is a solid UCLA team. Had some bad breaks, but I think they have the edge. I think they're just going to have a weird edge on USC and get the win here. So give me the Bruins to cover 3. Jamison?
Give me USC super lock. Super lock of the week. Give me USC for -3. Did you see what Amon-Ra St. Brown did to Washington State last week? Absolute amazing. 4 touchdowns from the wide receiver, one of the most undervalued wide receivers in the country. This dude was an absolute beast whenever he came in as a true freshman. Came in, and then Keaton Slovis with 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I understand Washington State's defense is not that famously good, but that's still something about your eye. I understand UCLA is on the up, but are you going to trust Chip Kelly? No. I'm going to pick with the momentum. Give me USC -3.
Fair enough. That's probably a good pick. I just like the weird trick. This feels weird. I'm getting a weird feeling about this. Moving on to our final non-conference game of the week.
No.
They're back. North Carolina, the team that just won't quit, at Miami, 2:30 on ABC. The Hurricane favored by 350. Jameson, I'll let you start on this one. Do you think UNC goes down to South Beach and gets a big win here? What do you think?
I have no idea with this. Here's the problem. Miami is the most fickle of all fickle teams. Somehow they're a top 10 team. They only have one loss, but if you look at them, just like I've watched games, they just played like complete crap. And then last week, or whatever game they played last time, they 48-0. I understand it was versus Duke, but still, they have an ability to pop off. And UNC showed that they can't play against the big dogs whenever they played against Notre Dame. It just did not look good. This game's tough. I'm going to go Miami minus 3.5. I understand the UNC bug is really easy to pick here. I'm sticking with Miami, even though I wanted to flip there.
Fair enough. Look, I believe in Sam Howell here, and I think Miami is a fraud. I've been saying it all season long, and I've been getting every single pick wrong. But you know what? You know what they say? A broken clock is right at least once, and I'm pretty sure I've missed my.
Not if it's a digital clock.
Okay, well, whatever, Ty.
It's just wrong.
UNC plus 350. Lock it in. Sammy Howell gets the win here in South Beach. Miami's bad luck, their trickiness, their fraudness finally catches up to them. So give me the Tar Heels to take this win. Ty?
All right, guys. So this pick is just going purely meta. So I'm going to give some backstory. Early in the season, we picked, I think, 2 or 3 Miami games. I was the only one consistently riding with Miami, and they never did me wrong. Everyone doubted. I rode with Miami, and they rode with me, and we carried that. But I think you guys also remember I've been very high on North Carolina. Been burned a few times. I'm still super high on them. Because I'm high on Mac Brown. I like the guy. He's like 87 years old or something ridiculous. Like, the dude was around, he first learned he wanted to coach college football, like, while he was watching, like, an Abraham Lincoln speech or something. He's been around forever. So, I mean, you gotta have realistic expectations for the man. They're not going to win the national championship. But I said I was going to go meta. I'm trying to go super quick. I've been really high on home teams this year. That has really paid out. I think had I just constantly ridden with home teams or anyone on the pick 'em on the Schooner Pod, they would have a really, really good win-loss ratio. So home teams really good in the year of COVID. But all that being said, all that meta-ness, all that riding with Miami being the home team, you guys know how I'm going to bite on like almost any line below 7 for the home team. But it might come back to bite me. But I got to go with North Carolina plus 3.5. I do think my rule is 2.5 or 3, I think, where I think I'm picking the outright. So this is slightly breaking my rule. But I think that North Carolina wins this one outright. I know they've been disappointing against good teams like Notre Dame. Miami nowhere near on the level of Notre Dame. I think at all. I think Miami has gotten lucky in a lot of games. I'm surprised by their win-loss record. Obviously, again, I'm super high on Miami. I love Miami this year. But they've gotten lucky. I think North Carolina can really pull this one out and sort of wrap their season up.
Hey, fair enough. We're riding with the Tar Heels here. So moving on to a game that, why did they even schedule this? I don't really know. This is really dumb. Louisiana Tech at TCU, thrown in at the last minute, 6 p.m. ESPN2. Horned Frogs favored by 21.5. We don't need to waste more than a sentence on this. So Ty, one sentence, who wins this game? Bang.
Well, TCU is going to win, but Louisiana Tech's going to cover. Louisiana Tech plus 21.5 for me.
Fair enough. Look, this TCU team is so hard to figure out. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go with the Frogs to get a narrow cover here. Don't feel good about it. Don't bet it. TCU minus 21.5. I don't like this one bit.
Yeah, I think this is just – does Louisiana Tech really want to play this game? I could understand TCU, just, why not? But does Louisiana Tech really want to play this game? Travel to TCU? I'm not buying that they really want to play. Like, give me TCU.
Fair enough.
It's a recruiting thing for them, though.
Yeah, but I mean,
It's
TCU wants a bowl
DFW
game.
area. Yeah. All right.
TCU wants a bowl game.
Nobody cares.
Yeah, no one cares. Speaking of nobody caring, we move on to Kansas and Texas. The Horns bounce back after a very surprising blowout over Kansas State. Great performance from Texas, and they take their show on the road to Lawrence. 2:30 ESPNU. Texas favored by 29.5. Jameson, do the Horns roll big here? Are you throwing your horns up here?
I feel like that Texas is getting a little bit of help here because Kansas kept it so close with Tech. No, just stop. We already shown that Texas Tech is a complete fraud. Texas offense seemed to not miss a beat at all. Bijan Robinson stepping up, looking like a really competent running back as a true freshman. So give me Texas here.
Yeah, I'm going with Texas as well to roll big. Kansas is bad, and I think UT actually has something going right now. So UT.
Yeah, UT has lost a lot of people, and you guys really didn't expect them to perform against K-State. I believe it or not, I actually had no doubts against K-State. This line is pretty high, though. You guys do know I have that vendetta against Kansas, but in just debating this. Oh, hang on, what is that? Something came in the mail today. It's horns up. Give me Texas. Minus 29.5.
No,
oh wait, hang on. There's something else in here. It's a double horns up. Give me Texas minus 29.5 against Kansas. Kansas is dismal.
Well played. That's brilliant. The best Christmas.
I'm sorry,
gift of all.
podcast listeners, you guys missed out. I found an envelope. I pulled horns up out of it.
That's why you got to watch it. That's why you got to
Yep.
watch it like visually. You're missing out on some good stuff there. All right, moving on. So Oklahoma State at Baylor. This line is not correct. 6:00. ESPNU.
No. I'm picking this line. It's on.
I don't think this line is correct. Hold on. What did I write down? 6:00 ESPNU. And
it's 5. You're right. It's 5.
It is
pull it up
5.
on ESPN.
Okay. No, it is 5. Yeah. Sorry, I thought that was the line from last week. Pokes favored by 5 after really coming up short against TCU. Ty, how are you feeling about this? Do you think the Pokes continue to be frauds, or
I'm just gonna keep riding it. OSU's failed me for like a month straight. Give me Oklahoma State. I don't believe that they're a good team anymore, but if I like looking at how Baylor moves the ball, I just don't see them being able to get this one. Give me OSU.
Yeah, look, OSU really looked bad last week. Barring Chuba Hubbard or LD Brown, like just leaving the program, I think OSU is going to win this game. I don't like the line. I don't like this game at all. I don't trust OSU. They look very flat, very one-dimensional. But yeah, give me the Pokes here. Yeah, give me OSU. Jameson?
I hate this. This sucks. Give me OSU.
Don't even waste your time watching this one.
It's bad. I hate it. I don't like it. Take it back. Moving on to the game that everyone likes, everyone wants, yada, yada, yada. The game, this doesn't matter. Oklahoma at West Virginia. 11 a.m. ABC. Sooners favored by an even clean 14 points. Jameson, I'll let you kick this one off. Do the Sooners cover the 2-touchdown spread?
Yes, because we have a motivation to win this game. Did you all see what happened to West Virginia last week? What? How are they a 2-touchdown underdog? I think that is an absolute disgrace. Give me OU minus 14 easy.
Yeah, I gotta go with the Sooners here. West Virginia has been blown out against any legitimate competition they played in the past couple of weeks. The team just they're not good. I agree with Ty. Big old yawn on this one. Sooners win big. This thing's over by lunchtime. This thing's done by noon. So give me the Sooners.
Yeah, I think going with what you guys said and maybe just some quick, refreshing. OU's COVID issues are from the initial West Virginia scheduling, which was now 2 weeks ago. So we have recovered everyone, or should be recovering, I guess, the bulk of the people that were out with COVID protocol and with contact tracing from the past 2 weeks. So a much more regenerated OU team. And I think looking at this West Virginia team, I still don't know. We did a whole sort of half a podcast on it. I still don't know what was up offensively with OU, but I think absolutely, I think this line maybe has been driven down by OU last week against Baylor, just not performing offensively. But I think absolutely, give me OU minus 14 here. Not going to be an issue whatsoever.
Yeah, according to our NCAA 14 sims, by the way, has OU winning, but West Virginia covering. So NCAA 14, big fan of the Mountaineers here, but what it doesn't account for is the fact that West Virginia's trash. There you go. Anyways, let's move on to my favorite pick of the week. Let's hit it.
Guys, why aren't the brakes working?
Because I cut the brakes! Wild card, bitches! Yeah! What? Oh, God! Oh, my God!
Brakes, guys, I can't stop this van!
Alert, 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 alert. Everyone stop. I'm picking before Bobby. Give me Coastal Carolina minus 13.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Well, there's no
So
rule.
much-
There's no
yeah.
rule you can't pick the same wild card.
Yes,
Coastal
there is.
No, there isn't.
No.
So-
Motion to vote that into the bylaws right now.
this is not a democracy, Ty.
No, Jameson and I both. It's now in the bylaws.
Have y'all unionized or something?
We have.
I needed time to review it, so
Blake also gave me his sort of power in absentia or whatever. He's the lawyer. I don't know.
Blake has no power here. He's not even technically a member of the Scooter Pub. Just a guy. Oh, geez. Okay, fine, Jameson. You can have Coastal Carolina minus 13.
That's not
I
even
love
the
that
best
pick.
one.
You
That's not even close to the biggest lock this week.
What is Ty? What is your biggest lock this week?
All right, so I will go, I guess, officially first with some short 2 to 3 minute pick. So, as you guys know, for some reason, I love I don't know why. I love to pick the Pac-12 games for my pick of the week. I've been super high on Arizona State, as you guys know.
You've been super high. Picking Pac-12.
Yeah, I have been. I've been literally high to pick Arizona State in some of these games.
You're rolling with the Bill Walton
as a
move
lifelong fan. But I think anyone that's looked at the lines this week kind of knows where I'm going. If you know the other Pac-12 team that I've been a lifelong fan of since at least last year, and that's the Colorado Buffaloes. These babies are undefeated this season, 4-0. Might even be in the conference championship. I have no idea how the Pac-12 is working this year or if it's going. They have one more game, and it's against Utah. Utah is 1-2 this season, and they have lost to, I guess, I'm assuming all the teams that Colorado's lost to. Nobody cares about actual analysis about this, okay? Colorado, undefeated. Utah, 1-2, which is not undefeated. Colorado's favored by 2 points. They're playing at home. And I think that this is a pretty obvious take here for Colorado. This team has beat UCLA 48-42. They've put up a lot of points for a Pac team in their games, and Utah has just been really, really disappointing. So I'm really going with Colorado -2 here as my pick of the week, and I think that's a very, very solid pick betting wise as well.
Well, that is a solid pick. I'm distraught because my pick was right there for the taking. I really wanted it. It's just cruel. It's mean. Just not okay. In fact, that robbery of such a tasty line, breaking my heart. Breaking my heart.
You can pick it. You're right. There's no.
I don't
rules
want
beyond.
to. I don't want your sloppy seconds, Jameson.
Blake is in the comments demanding a recount for something right now. I don't
major scandal, collusion. I don't know what's going on here. Look, I'm going to go with a different one here. So I'm going back to the past, going back to an original strategy that worked. Always pick the teams that have played. No matter how bad they've been, they always have an edge against a team who hasn't played. So give me the Arkansas State Red Wolves to cover 21.5 against Incarnate Word, who Incarnate Word has not played a single game yet. Arkansas State, look, they started off really solid. You know, beat Kansas State. Woo, great job there. But ever since then, they've been just getting pounded in the Sun Belt. But you know what? They showed some life against UL Monroe with a 48-15 win. Surely they can cover 21.5 against Incarnate Word. Give me Arkansas State. Arkansas State 21.5 over Incarnate Word. Lock it, call it good. Signed, sealed, delivered. Bang.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Absolutely.
No. Bobby's having to pick an Incarnate Word game because I was so.
All right, Jameson, you got to.
I'm so sorry, Bobby.
You got to give some analysis.
I've done so many poor things to Bobby this week. I really hurt him.
Somehow
That's okay.
this is worse than
Bobby's still
receiving
getting
a punishment.
paid back from when we helped him move in, and his arm suddenly got hurt on the day of the move in and couldn't lift anything.
Fair enough. I slipped on a puddle. It happens sometimes. Well, folks, this has been a really good, really fun episode. Thank you for listening. We'll see you for the season finale next week of our Pick'em show. And then after that, hey, it's bowl Pick'em time for whatever bowls we have left. That's a whole separate contest, but it ends next week. We got a little Ivy cameo to send you off. So for me, Jameson, and Ty, this has been the Weekend Spread presented by the Schooner Pod. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.
Go Navy, beat Army.